Flag salute with Mr. Amendola.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Amendola?
Here.
Mr. Kraus? Ms. Perry?
Here.
Ms. Glasser? Ms. Dammit?
Here.
Mr. Rosario?
Here.
Mr. Lavasser?
Here.
Mayor Bloom?
Here.
Solicitor Corbel?
Here.
And Engineer Minsterman?
Here.
Public Works Director Gazarovski?
Present.
All right.
Moving forward with the approval of the bills list dated October 22nd, 2018.
So moved.
Second. Hearing any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? Approval of the bill list. Approval of the minutes dated October 8th, 2018.
So moved.
There's also,
To do the minutes first.
yeah. All right, where were we?
He made Mr. Rosario made a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
So there's that motion, or it needs to be seconded.
Do we hear a second?
Second.
All right. Hearing any discussion about the approval of the bill, of the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? All right. Approval of the minutes. Going back, the manager says that we have a motion to approve the bill list with an addendum for October 22nd, 2018.
So moved.
Second. Hearing any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All that opposed? All right, thank you. Approval of the addendum for the bills list. All right. Citizen comments list. Do you have anything on here about parking? No. All right. The comments about parking on East Crafton Ave will have to wait for the end of the meeting, as is not on the agenda. For all audience members, please observe the restrictions that are customary for this council. I'm not going to read it aloud this evening. I'm going to move forward since I see no citizen comments for agenda items. Acknowledgement of the receipt of written reports. We have the treasurer's report, the financial report, the Act 511 report, trash collection report, property tax collection report, the police report, the EMS report, the ordinance officer's report, the building inspection report, the public works report, the fire department report, and the library report.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
Do I hear any questions, comments, concerns about the reports that were received? Hearing none, may I have the approval? All in favor?
Aye.
All that opposed? All right, we have the approval of the reports. Moving forward, we have the mayor's report, and the mayor has a special section for swearing in as well.
Swearing in.
We're going to be swearing in.
Gazarovski and Season,
Yeah.
would you step forward, please? You're going to be committed forever now.
Oh, boy.
This is big time. Okay, this is, you know what we're going there? You have to be sworn in. Huh? Well, sworn in, you don't have to swear or the swearing in. You don't have to swear. But in order for you to prosecute for ordinance violations through the magistrate, he wants to make sure that you're sworn in as such to those positions. Yes, sir. Okay?
All right.
All right, now, take a look at it. So I'll say, I'll go through this and I'll go I, and state your name. So don't say state your name. You state your name. And then follow after me, okay? All right, please raise your right hands and repeat after me. I
I, Robert
I.
Gazarovski,
Susan Chekanowski,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania,
and I will discharge my duties
and will discharge my duties
as code enforcement officers
as code enforcement officers
for the Borough of Crafton
for the Borough of Crafton
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr.
Congratulations.
We just need your signatures before.
All right.
Thank you both. Thank you, Mayor Bloom.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Moving forward with the engineer's report, Engineer Minsterman.
Thank you, Mr. President. The report stands as presented. There are no updates or revisions. I did want to make a comment, though, a brief comment on the progress of the storm separation work that's been going on. Last meeting, I gave a rather lengthy explanation. Tonight, I just want to hit some high notes. Basically, from a bigger picture perspective, we've identified 9 areas, and right now, we're just at a conceptual phase, evaluating where areas within Crafton would serve as an easy or a less path of resistance opportunity to remove stormwater flow from the sanitary combined system. So with that said, we've looked at those areas, and like I said, with an eye toward ease of construction to remove that flow. We've identified approximately 10 areas throughout the community, and that flow, that estimated possible reduction in stormwater flow, so this would be the number of gallons per year that can be removed from your combined sewer system and put into the separate storm sewer system, is over 100 million gallons in a year. So it's a tremendous volume that can be removed from the combined system, and that space freed up for larger storm events. So in essence, it's similar to upsizing your pipe, because you're going to get more room, but you're not spending the cost to tear up the neighborhoods and upsize all those pipes. So this is really preliminary, but there are very large numbers here as it relates to actual removal of flow. So that's pretty exciting. Our next step is to meet with Elkasan and propose these locations, or a portion of these locations, to their committee to be evaluated for grant funding. So that grant funding ranges from 25% of the project to 85% of the project in grant funding, depending on the type of project, the removal, the amount of removal, and how it impacts Elkasan's system. Even though it might have a great impact on our system, it may have less of an impact on their system. But however, any grant money obviously would be welcomed and would help the consideration of implementing these construction projects as they develop. So that's all. I just wanted to give a little update saying that, you know, things are looking well, and it's in a great positive direction. You know, there's always the possibility where you go out and beat the bushes and no fruit falls off. So far we've hit the bushes and the lot came down. So we just got to figure out how to pick it all up now. That's all I have.
Thank you. May I ask you a question?
Yes.
With regards to the contractor that was doing the road program, the the final payments, where are we with the schedule with Independent? Are we working down the punch list? Is that why we haven't seen a final pay?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know the details, how many items are left on the punch list, but as soon as the punch list is complete and they provide a maintenance bond, that's the next thing before we make the final recommendation to release the retainage.
So sometime in Q4 we should expect to
Yes.
have
It should be, most likely it will be before the end of the year, just because number one, the contractors want that. And number two, I don't think we're too far away from the punch list getting finalized.
Have they been working on it at all?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it's always weather dependent. It depends on what the task is, and so I don't know exactly.
We are receiving a number of complaints, and they're actually viable complaints about the handicap ramps. He's been non-responsive, but there's some issues with, in and around these ramps as far as brick, debris, things that can actually be tripping hazards. And it's been brought to our attention. So if he's non-responsive, I'm gonna ask the solicitor and the council president if we can get a landscape architect, have him go out and remediate those locations and then do a deduct off of the balance of what's owned in there. That's something that's, something that we could do since he's been non-responsive
I
so
would
far.
like to see that done there on
Leave-
Linwood, the street, I mean, you're talking a 6-inch
Yeah, there's some,
Is it back
holes
on
up top.
it's backfilling behind the curb, and there's some excess concrete was piled up, some street brick are laying there. There's some possible tripping hazards. And now that's been brought to our attention not only by council, but different residents, I think it should be remediated as soon as possible. We need to actually give it some attention. So my question is, can we get a landscape contractor in, do it, pay him, and do a deduct from the balance on to the defendant?
Okay, and when's our next meeting? That week?
In 3 weeks,
Okay.
2.5 weeks.
I think you guys probably need to get together sooner. Maybe you could coordinate something with the contractor and you and the.
Yeah, I think we ought to tell the contractor first what the plan is before we execute it. Give them the
Yeah,
opportunity to say,
I would prefer
No.
that they do the work and we not
Yes.
have to go through this effort.
it will be a battle, especially with this contractor. So I think with
Put 'em
that,
on- Put them on notice.
yes, with that threat of action, I think that will generate their response.
Okay, and then Mr. Kazarowski, with regards to the curb cuts up there by Perrine and Starrett, is that something that's been done yet?
No. It's part of the punch list. Nothing actually has been expedited on a punch list that was submitted this last month.
So we're gonna have to start taking action on that. Okay. All right, well, thank you both for answering those questions. As this is a good segue from the engineer's report and the solicitor's report,
Yeah, so if you guys need any assistance with that, let me know. I want to take a look at the contract documents before we send the letter. I do agree with the engineer's approach, which is you should let them know what we plan to do before you actually pull the trigger there. With respect to my report, at everybody's place tonight, I left draft ordinances, 2 different ordinances. The thicker ordinance is the stormwater ordinance that we are required to adopt by Allegheny County. It includes I took the more restrictive approach on certain issues that were mentioned in my memo from September 24th. Without any objection, I will advertise this for adoption at the November 26th meeting. And so you have a couple weeks to read through it, and if you have any comments or concerns, you can reach out to me in the meantime, but we can also talk about it at council's first meeting in November. So the second ordinance is an update to the borough's subdivision and land development ordinance. That's the 2-pager. And so basically what this does is removes references to stormwater management in sections 197-42, and then simply references the new chapter 190, which is the stormwater management ordinance. So what this does is in any subdivision or land development, the new stormwater restrictions must be addressed. And so that's why that change is necessary. Because this is an amendment to the saldo, we have to send it to the county for review, and then once the county says okay, we can advertise it and move forward. So without any objection, I'll be sending this to the county this week for their review. It usually takes 30 to 45 days, and once I get confirmation from the county that we're good to go, I'll let you know, and we can schedule it for adoption, probably in January, I'm thinking. Perhaps at the end of December, if we do have our second meeting in December, which I know sometimes that doesn't occur.
It's usually canceled.
Yeah, it's typically canceled, but if it's not,
Right.
we could maybe use it for that purpose. So that's all I have for my report.
all right. Moving forward with the business agenda, under administration, manager placed a motion to approve resolution number 2018-15 concurring with the submission of the CDBG Year 45 grant application by the Charlotte West Council of Governments on behalf of the Borough.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions?
Can you give a summary of what that is?
Yeah, so it's kind of just a housekeeping item. We submitted the CDBG application through the COG, which was, we went out again for those handicap ramp improvements that we applied for last year but did not get. So we just have to pass this to essentially say, yeah, it's okay, they can submit this on our behalf.
Thank you.
Mr. Amador, you have any questions?
No.
Ms. Dennis? Mr. Rosario?
No.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries, thank you. Moving on to Public Works. Public Works. Number one, the discussion of the grant opportunities for park and playground improvements. Mr. Kazarowski?
Yes. I've set up a meeting this week, actually, unfortunately, won't occur until Thursday morning. I'm meeting with a representative from a group that's part of the CoStar program that actually renovates parks and playgrounds as far as play equipment, safety surface, and so forth. We're going to do site visits at 2 neighborhood parks, and then we'll take a look at the Crafton Park. I'm going to look for estimated costs to go in and actually redo each park, maybe in the 5-year plan, to install safety surface. Right now, we have that playground mulch. It's labor intensive, and it is a costly endeavor to do every 2 years or so to keep the park safe in the fall areas. So I requested somebody from, I met up with Seven Springs, part of the CoStar program, so he's going to come in on Thursday. We'll do site visits, and he's going to make recommendations for play equipment improvement and for safety surface installation, for cost estimates and so forth, that we can discuss at the budget.
All right.
What time's he coming?
10:30.
Any questions? Stamets, I know you've been interested in seeing improvements along these lines as well, Mr. Rosario, so it sounds like we're making progress with the director here, so that's good. All right. And then, Director Kozrowski, I believe you did some surfacing at a playground with some new material over
We
the
did.
last quarter, right?
We did all 3 playgrounds. Actually, we came up with the playground mulch, had it trucked in, and we serviced all 3 play areas.
What is playground mulch, by the way?
It's a mulch that's actually processed where the chemicals are removed, so there's no hazards to the children when they're playing. And it is spread throughout the play areas to have an impact on a reduction of the impact on the fall areas that's on the play equipment.
Yeah, and from what I understand, the new improvements could, minimize maintenance.
Oh, big time. Big time. It's very labor intensive with the mulch. It's all done by hand. The safety surface, my experience with that is it's very minimal as far as maintenance. Have to clean it occasionally with pressure washers and so forth, but that's done periodically. I mean, every 2 years you gotta come in, you're spending $6,000-7,000 just for the material to go in and spread it on the parks. And you have to do it, continue to spread it because swing areas and slide areas, that mulch has to be raked back in because obviously when kids come in and swing, they push it, move it, and you have to reset it occasionally, like during the summer, more than in the fall and spring because of usage. But we're going to discuss grant opportunities too with this contract when it comes in for later.
That's great, thank you, appreciate it. All right. Moving forward, we have a motion to approve pay application number 4 in the amount of $11,439.25 to El Grande Industries Incorporated for the Crafton Park Improvements Project as recommended by the Borough Engineer. This will be the final pay application for this project.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this for the rain garden?
Yeah. Yes.
So is the rain garden completed?
So.
Yes. It's completed to the, where I think it's the best it's gonna get.
Yeah, so,
We met down there, actually, we met the contractor, the engineering contractor from Gateway. Come in, and I had staff going to, as a learning experience, to be trained a little bit as far as the weeding of the garden. It's gonna be high maintenance, it's gonna be a high maintenance project down here in the spring and in the summer and the fall, you know, with the weeding and so forth. But we met with representatives from Gateway, the landscape engineer. We met with the contractor. He had his crew actually going and doing initial weeding. My guys, they 2 guys down there were trained what were weeds and what were plants. And I think they met all the requirements that Gateway put forth, and we put forth at that meeting to release no any responsibility.
And I will say that probably over time, as the rain garden sort of establishes itself, there should be, I mean, it's still gonna be weeded, but, you know, it's not gonna be quite such a labor-intensive thing, from what I understand.
So with regards to the flow monitoring, Alcosan, I believe, is gonna be assisting with that, so we can accomplish what they need us to take care of, so we get our final pay from them.
Yes, the first step was to get the rain garden in accordance with the plans and specs, which it is now, and now we can reach out to Alcosan and begin that process of how to do the final, how they're proposing to do the final monitoring to close out the project.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions?
All the plants were planted, they're all new plants down there then, trees?
Everything that was dead was replaced, everything that was dying was replaced. So we had a landscape architect there to say, replace that one's okay. So they walked through that whole process to get all the vegetation up to snuff.
And it wasn't too cold out or too late in the year?
No, still a decent planting season. I think this work was done
A couple weeks
ago.
80 degrees out.
Yeah, yeah,
It
so.
looks much better than it did. It looked terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah, it got away from them.
looked like a mud pit for a while.
Yeah.
All right, we're trusting you guys. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, all that opposed? Motion passes. Moving forward to planning and zoning, a motion to authorize the borough manager to execute the Act 167 Stormwater Management Grant Agreement with the Allegheny County Department of Economic Development.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Can we get a summary of that?
Yeah, sure. So, this is something that everyone's been kind of calling the mini grant. It's for $2,000, basically to help offset the cost of the legal services, the advertising for putting this ordinance up, you know, Post Gazette isn't cheap, so.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah, so it's a
Talking about
reimbursement.
advertising.
Right, exactly.
Thank you.
So, yeah, this is just authorize me to sign it, basically.
All right. Hearing no further questions or concerns, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All that opposed? All right. Carried, all right. Moving forward to discussion items, the Crafton Boulevard properties.
Okay, so this is just an update that Mr. Rosario asked me to sort of briefly provide, because I know there have been some questions with a few of the condemned properties on Crafton Boulevard, whether we're moving forward. Last week I met with the engineers just as a sort of, you know, pre-budget meeting where they could toss out some of the different costs for the projects that we're looking to undertake next year. So I did get kind of a ballpark cost for those. Now, because the two of them that we're looking at right now are on a hillside, really more like a cliff, honestly, they're not gonna be cheap. They're probably going to go over the bid threshold, looking at maybe 25,000 per. So that's in the draft budget for next year that I'll be presenting on Wednesday. But until, you know, we start doing the engineering for that, we can't really, you know, we have to get that done before we can move on them, but the engineering is in the works.
Okay. Could we move forward with getting the asbestos testing done and anything else the county's gonna require?
Yes, that's relatively easy. We could coordinate that. Director Kazarowski could as well. We can give that name and number of a vendor that can come out. It's a professional services, come out and just do an assessment, asbestos assessment, and provide a report, and that gets attached to the demolition bid specifications, and the contractor is required to remediate that asbestos. So that's a good idea, number one, to get prepared, so when the time is right, we can act. And then the second thing is to get the plans and specs together. The earlier in the year we bid, the lesser cost we can get from contractors. If we wait till March, April, May, June, everybody gets busy. We bid it in February, and we get a good price, guys getting out of the gate with work early.
And that was something that we discussed at the meeting last week, was, you know, we have room to do the engineering costs now, so it's fine to go ahead and start those. You know, we wouldn't be able to start a demolition before the end of the year anyway, so that's not really a budgetary issue, but engineering wise, we can get going so that we can bid early.
That's a good plan.
A couple of things. The amount though that the manager was talking about, was that according to the engineering report, just like the other professional services was going to be looking into the cost? Was there, them provided the estimates or the ballpark estimates for that, or?
Those were just off-the-cuff estimates, just doing a lot of these houses and looking at a lot of the variations. It wasn't an engineering estimate at this point.
Okay.
That's kind of hard to do for the demolition, because it's really based on how hungry the contractors are, more than like a standard cost for putting the sidewalk in. We can estimate that pretty easily. But a demolition, sometimes they find things in the houses, scrap, that they could save, that cuts the price. Sometimes the asbestos is higher, so they spend a couple thousand on asbestos, so that increases the price. So there's so many dynamics that it isn't worth the engineering effort to go figure everything out to be exactly sure on what the estimate is. So just looking at the houses, the locations, Crafton Borough is busy, it'll be inexpensive, on the more expensive side, which is in the $20,000 range. A lesser cost standard demo is in the $10,000 range, you know, plus or minus. So that's really the level of estimating, is just experiencing these are going to cost a couple bucks.
Okay, and then as far as the asbestos testing goes, because we did testing for 1508 bar, and then we have to do it again.
There was a change, the Allegheny County Health Department changed the way they do this, and so now, obviously, we're adapted to the new change in what they require.
So we don't have to do one test and.
That's right.
So which properties are these, and are they moved all the way through all the legal processes at this point?
This is 1656 and 1654. Yeah, they're ready to go for the legal.
Okay, was there another one that's in process?
1664, that's the gentleman, the retired gentleman for Cranberry that's working on the house.
I've
To
been
make
told that he's
repairs.
working with the building inspectors.
Okay.
He's working on it. We'll just-
Was that the guy that came to the meeting?
Yeah.
There was
Well,
two
there
gentlemen
were
that
a
came
few.
to me.
It was the first gentleman.
For the one
The guy that was sick?
Yeah, he had been ill and is better now. Yeah.
He's the one that had the plan though.
He had a plan, yeah, he submitted a plan timeline to us.
Okay.
So that's, yeah, 1664. There was another gentleman that came and complained, but he didn't file an appeal, et cetera, so.
Yes, that was Mr. Wacker then, right, taking care of it.
Mhm.
And 96 Noble? Were we anywhere on that, or is that just?
We're talking about the exoneration of the taxes by all the taxing bodies with the proposed sale to the fire department. That's where that is. The sheriff's sale was postponed until, I would say, no,
I think it was December.
it's December, yeah.
All right. Okay, well, I think we need to just keep on moving these things forward. I don't know if we reported back to the community that 1508 bar was demoed. Did we report that last meeting? Yeah,
The last
so,
one, you were Brad asked.
yeah,
And there should be a pay application on the next agenda coming up for that.
okay. All right, do you mind if I continue on with the meeting? All right. I'm gonna move forward with the community announcements. If Andrew's like that.
Sure, so just a couple things that you probably saw in the last meeting, but, you know, they haven't occurred yet, so we put them back on. Crafton Elves, they're doing a community funding drive. This is to help upgrade the lighting that they put up every year for the holidays, to LED lights, which I've been told are brighter and last a little bit longer. So they're taking donations for this. They can be made at the Borough Administrative Office, on behalf of the Crafton Elves. So we're taking them and then dispersing them. And the second event is, council is running a haunted borough haul. It's during the regular trick-or-treat hours, so I'm told that the building will be a little spooky at that time. You can come by, get some candy with your kids.
Where is it gonna be?
Here?
Where? Front of the building in the vestibule.
And the front door of the Borough building.
Pardon? Yes. All right, moving on to additional citizen comments. Joyce Perry? All right, come on up. If you could give your name and address.
Yeah, Joyce Perry for short, Joyce Gordon Perry, but, I'm here to talk about parking on Louise Crafton, which is my property. I have an art gallery there.
I can't hear you.
What address, sorry?
11 East Crafton Avenue. It's an art gallery. I've been there since 2003 with my business, and I've lived there for a little over 5 years in the property. There is no parking there for the property, like a driveway, a garage, or an alley, or anything, so I've always been forced to park on the street. So, there is a 4-hour parking ordinance there, but the police don't enforce it, unless someone complains that the parking's being used up by people who take the bus, and then they start chalking the tires of the cars. And this has happened many times over the years, randomly, so I'm always caught off guard. So I have 2 vehicles. I have a delivery van for my artwork deliveries, and I have a personal car. So I park there in the front of the building, but the police will come by whenever this happens, and I get chalked and I get a ticket. So last week I got 2 tickets. And I usually talk to the police. I've talked to the chief of police and the policemen that were there, you know, chalking at the time, and telling them I live here, I work here, I have nowhere else to park. What can I do? And they said their hands are tied because this is the rule and they have to do it, which I understand. So I'm trying to finally come here and ask for some help with this, if there's something I could do. If I could get a permit, I don't know if you give those out, if you have a solution for me once and for all, so I don't have to keep getting ticketed. Because I have to pay them, I don't have a choice. And, you know, they don't just tear up my ticket. So I even paid it early last week, thinking I'd get the discount on the ticket, you know, and I wasn't even allowed that, so I paid full price. So I was hoping you could help me.
All right, we'll work with the mayor and look into it.
Okay, so if I get any tickets from y'all till then,
May I make a suggestion? What is it, 4-hour signs, from what time to what time?
actually, I don't even know anymore.
I think it's something till 4 PM, I think it's 4 PM.
It might be.
Okay.
It usually comes around about 9:30. But
Okay.
if I'm out
Then
making
move your
deliveries,
vehicle.
well, that's what he says, just move your cars around. But if I'm out making deliveries or I'm traveling, I have 1 vehicle left there all day, I have no way of knowing that.
Okay.
So I get a ticket. And I can't always, you know, it's so random, I don't know when they're going to do it. And after a while, you kind of forget, when you can't check every day to see the chalk mark on your car. And then moving them, of course, seems kind of silly, but,
Well, the ordinance is in effect, and it was put in effect specifically for the businesses on East Crafton Avenue.
yes.
So-
All those businesses have parking lots in the back.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have a discussion with the manager. I don't want to get in a long thing. We'll have to check it out and see what legally can be done, if anything.
Yes, I
You know,
know.
it's just understand, I know exactly what property you're talking about. And did you ever talk to the people next door that have the parking lot?
Yes, he didn't want to use that for anyone else, he has trucks coming in and out.
Just as a,
Yes.
okay. All right, Okay, well, we'll talk with the manager and the solicitor and that will.
Okay, I appreciate it, just
And I'll
wanted
talk
to
to
be
the chief
heard.
of police.
Are you the only resident on the street?
I don't think
I mean,
there's a
aside from the
house.
8-story
Yeah,
high-rise.
there is a house next to the
Oh,
floral
that's
shop.
right, there's a house with a driveway.
Yes, but everyone else, I think I'm the only one that doesn't have other parking, and I just have to rely on the street, so.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks. Manager Susko, a few weeks ago, I asked about possibly looking into working with some of the lots that are up Bradford. I was curious, did we reach out to any of those property owners?
We haven't talked to any of the property owners. We did look into maybe splitting the cost of the parking lot lease with the magistrate. They were not interested, so just due to cost concerns, that sort of stalled out, but I can follow up on that again.
Yeah,
See if
if you
there's
could
any
reach out
interest.
to that, those property owners that have a lot and see what,
Sure.
see what their price would be.
All right.
All right. Seeing no additional citizen comments, I'm going to move